A 7-year-old girl was running around the field where most of the town had gathered that day. Just minutes earlier, she had been smiling, chatting, asking her father for a little money to buy a snack. But only minutes later, amid the cheers of the game,
she went missing. 30 minutes later, she was found dead in this small pond.
How could a child disappear in a place so crowded? Welcome back to Crime Delvi. My name is Luca. Today, we're going to dissect a case that has left Scottsville, Kentucky, grappling with a very unsettling question. If a child can disappear in a place everyone believes to be safe, what have we ultimately missed? Now let's begin. Gabriella Corrine Gabbi Doolin was born on December 26, 2007, in Glasgow, Kentucky, and lived with her family in Adolph, a small community near Scottsville in southern Kentucky. And if you drove through it, you would probably think, yeah, nothing major probably happens here. According to the 2015 census, Scottsville had only about 4,000 to 4,500 residents. It is a small town located about a 1-hour drive north of Nashville, Tennessee, and about 30 minutes from Bowling Green, Kentucky. This is not the kind of place where people step outside and think, I probably need to stay on high alert today. No, this is small-town America, where many families know each other through school, church, ball fields, fundraisers, and those very normal little greetings in parking lots. A place where adults often believe kids are fine as long as they are running around within the community's line of sight. Sounds peaceful, right? She was the daughter of Brian and Amy Doolin, the only girl in a family with 3 children, with 2 brothers, Alec and Chance. Gabbi's brother played football, and Gabbi was a cheerleader, a young, energetic little girl who liked running off to find her friends, liked being in the middle of the crowd of kids more than sitting still in the stands watching every play. And if you have ever been at a school stadium in America, you know that scene. The stadium lights shining, the loudspeaker announcements echoing, parents talking to each other, kids running back and forth, the smell of food from the concession stand, and everyone thinking they are in a familiar, safe space. In November 2015, the Pee Wee Football Jamboree was taking place. This was a large traditional sports event for local elementary and middle school-age children. Gabbi was only 7 years old, and in a small community around Scottsville, Kentucky, November does not just mean colder weather, thicker jackets, and parents standing shivering under stadium lights like they voluntarily signed up for a very American survival challenge. For small towns like Scottsville, Pee Wee football events often serve as an important community gathering. Many families come together at the school field to watch their children play, meet neighbors, and take part in local activities. Because this was a familiar environment, with many parents, coaches, and children present, many people automatically saw it as a relatively safe space for young kids. On the night of November 14th, 2015, the Doolin family went to the Allen County-Scottsville High School area to watch a youth football game. Gabbi's brother was on the team playing that night, and Gabbi, to be fair, did not exactly seem like she was there to sit and analyze formations like an elementary school version of an NFL commentator. Gabbi cared about seeing her friends, running around, buying snacks, and enjoying an evening where kids were allowed to be kids. At first, her parents had not planned to bring Gabbi with them. They planned to leave Gabbi at home with their younger son under the care of a relative. A completely normal plan. No drama, no warning sign. No one looked at that night and thought, oh, this is the decision an entire community will later replay in their minds again and again. But Gabbi wanted to go. She convinced her parents to let her come to the field with the family. And eventually, they agreed. Just one small decision. The kind of decision every parent has made. Leave your child at home or let them come with you? What could happen? It was just a football game. Just a school field. Just a community night. When the Doolin family arrived at the stadium, the area was already crowded. There were not only local people there, but also families from other counties who had come to watch the game and cheer for their teams. And as soon as Gabby saw her friends, she asked her mother if she could go play with them. Amy said yes, but before letting her daughter run off, she told Gabby to stay on school grounds and stay with the other kids. After her mother gave her permission, Gabby ran off to play with her group of friends. And at an event like this, that sounds completely normal. Kids run back and forth. Parents see their child for a while, lose sight of them for a few minutes, then see them come back asking for water, money, snacks, or asking a question that has absolutely nothing to do with anything currently happening. Honestly, that is almost the exact description of every youth sports event in America. Adults pretending they have the situation under control, while kids operate like a chaotic system wearing sneakers. Then, at one point during the evening, Gabby went over to her father. Brian Doolin was in the announcer's booth, or the field's press box, at the time. Gabby asked her dad for some money to buy snacks at the concession stand. A short time later, Gabby's group of friends ran over to Amy in the stands. Amy looked down at the group of children, and almost immediately, she realized something was wrong. Gabby was not there. The girls asked Amy if she had seen Gabby. Amy said she had not seen Gabby for a while. Then she asked the girls what had happened. At first, the answer still sounded like a kid's thing. The girls said the group had been playing hide and seek. Gabby was the seeker. The other children had hidden in the restroom, waiting for Gabby to come find them. And this is where you can imagine everyone still trying to stay calm, because it was hide and seek. Kids being kids. Maybe Gabby got distracted. Maybe she ran over to the concession stand. Maybe she went looking for her dad. Maybe she thought the game was over. Maybe. That is how the human brain protects itself in the first few minutes of fear. It throws out every least terrifying explanation first. The girls started calling Gabby's name. At first, it may still have sounded like children's voices in a game. Gabby? Where are you? The kind of call that is half playful, half serious, because in their minds, maybe Gabby was just hiding from them instead. Kids are kids. The rules of a game can change in about 3 seconds, and no one gets notified. But then they checked the places where the group had just been playing. Nothing. They called again. Still nothing. That was when the girls thought Gabby may have gone back to the stands with her mother. A very reasonable theory. If she could not find her friends, maybe Gabby got bored, gave up, and ran back to Amy. Nothing too scary. Not panic time yet. The human brain was still trying to be kind to them by offering the most comforting explanation possible. Amy immediately went looking for Brian. If Gabby was not with her friends and not in the stands, maybe she had gone to her dad. Brian was in the field's press box area, so Amy went to him and said Gabby was missing. Brian did not have Gabby either. Brian quickly went to check around the stadium area. Amy ran toward the concession stand, the place where Gabby had earlier asked her dad for money to buy snacks. Again, this was a very natural parent thought. If your child just asked for snack money, look at the snack stand first. As they searched, Brian and Amy ran into people they knew, friends, and other parents. They quickly told them that Gabby was missing. Within minutes, the search was no longer just her family's effort. It spread fast. One person called another. Parents left their seats. Friends started checking around the field. People looked under the bleachers, near the concession stand, around the restrooms, around the walkways, and around the areas where kids usually ran through. After searching around the stadium and finding no trace of Gabby, her parents went back and asked for an announcement to be made over the loudspeaker. They hoped Gabby would hear her name, realize everyone was looking for her, and run back. Then she would appear from somewhere, and everyone would breathe again. Like, "Oh my God, you scared me half to death." That was the ending they were all begging for. But the announcement went out, and Gabby still did not appear. Brian and Amy kept asking every person they came across, "Have you seen Gabby? Did you see a little girl run through here? Did you see her near the concession stand?" And you can imagine what that scene looked like. At first, some people probably still thought, she's probably just a child who wandered off. A little girl went to the wrong spot, got distracted, or was standing somewhere with another friend. At a crowded football field, that is not unusual. But the more they asked, the more the answers sounded the same. No one had seen her. No one knew where Gabby was. A few parents and people they knew started joining the search. They went back around the stadium area, checking walkways, dark spots, and places a child might have accidentally wandered into. Then they asked staff to turn on more flashlights around the baseball field area, the area leading toward a small group of trees behind the school grounds. Adults moved through that area, shining lights, calling Gabby's name, looking around the baseball field, near the tree line, and near spots hidden from view. But still, nothing. And by that point, about 20 minutes had passed since Gabby was last seen. At 7:40 p.m., Gabby's parents decided to call the police. Officers quickly arrived at the school. They listened to Brian, Amy, and the children who had been playing with Gabby. They tried to reconstruct the final minutes, where Gabby had been, who she had been playing with, which direction she ran, who saw her last, and whether anyone strange had been around the restroom or the field area. And I think this is a very important detail. Local police were not handling an everyday case. This was Scottsville, a small community. Children disappearing in the middle of a community sports event was not the kind of call they got every weekend. There is no magical button that says, "Handle an urgent missing child case at a crowded stadium." Unfortunately, real life does not work like an investigation series on TV. That means within just a few more minutes, hundreds of people could start leaving the area. Cars would start up. Families would head to the parking lot. People from other counties would drive home. And if the person who had taken Gabby was still inside the stadium, he could walk out with the crowd as if he were just another normal parent ending a very normal night. Police had to make a very quick decision at that point. Either let the flow of people leave and hope Gabby was just somewhere nearby, or face the worst possible scenario and keep everyone there. They chose the second option. The game was stopped. The stadium was locked down.
While attending a Little League football game in Allen County, Saturday, November the 14th, 7-year-old Gabriella Doolin went missing from her family. They were not able to find her. An immediate search of that area there on the property was searched, and at 8:05 p.m.
Right after the game was stopped, police began setting up perimeter control around the school area. To put it more simply, every exit was being controlled. No one was allowed to freely leave the area. And if you were thinking, wait, isn't that a little much for a lost child? Exactly. That is the point. Police were no longer treating this like a normal case of a child wandering off. They had to consider the worst-case scenario. A 7-year-old girl may have been approached by someone, taken away from the safe area, and that person could still be inside the stadium. Yeah, in the same crowd as parents, children, coaches, neighbors. Officers were placed at every exit to prevent anyone from leaving the scene without being checked. This was not just standing guard at the door. From an investigative standpoint, this was scene containment. Preserving an open scene, controlling the movement of people, protecting witness statements, and most importantly, preventing a potential suspect from disappearing into the crowd. But police did not immediately explain the full situation to everyone, and that may sound counterintuitive. A child is missing. So why not tell everyone everything so they can all help search? But in a real investigation, sometimes an announcement made at the wrong moment does not help find someone faster. It only creates chaos faster. If parents knew police were considering the possibility that an abductor or violent suspect was in the same area with them, the situation could escalate immediately. Adults would pull their children close. Kids would panic. Some people would try to leave. Others would run off and search on their own. And if the person who needed to be kept there really was in the crowd, he would know right away that police were narrowing in. In other words, chaos would become a free gift to someone with something to hide. And I think this was one of the most important decisions that night. Police had to keep people calm enough to keep searching, but controlled enough not to lose the person they may have needed to find. While everyone was still in chaos, calling the little girl's name, Kentucky State Police quickly arrived and expanded the search toward the wooded area behind the school. Real life is much more brutal and relentless than movies. Just 25 minutes after Gabbi's mother alerted security, around 8:05 p.m., officers walked through the tree line and were stunned to find her. Gabbi was lying silently in a heavily wooded ravine, a deep drainage ditch hidden behind the school grounds. Gabbi was dead. Officers entered the wooded area behind the school. In the deep drainage ditch hidden beyond the trees, officers were stunned to discover Gabbi Doolin's body and requested medical assistance to transport her to the medical examiner's office for a forensic examination. Preliminary observations at the scene showed signs consistent with a fatal attack. Investigators also noted factors that led them to consider the possibility that the case involved sexual assault.
7-year-old Gabriella Doolin disappeared from a Kentucky high school football game that she and her family were attending, and very shortly after she went missing, Gabby was found dead in a nearby creek. The child's body was found in a wooded area behind the school just 25 minutes after she was reported missing, according to Scottsville police.
When Gabbi's mother, Amy Doolin, heard the devastating news, she completely broke down. She tried to rush toward the small wooded area where police had taped off the scene, clinging to one last piece of hope that her daughter was only injured. But officers had to hold her back. That was done to protect the scene, and also to protect a mother from an image that could haunt her for the rest of her life. The case officially shifted into the most urgent and serious homicide investigation in Allen County history.
The Kentucky State Police here, we were notified that the body of Gabriella Doolin had been located in a wooded area there on the property. At that time and since then, vigorous investigation has been taking place both day and night.
Because the body was found so quickly, investigators immediately realized a horrifying truth. The person responsible had just acted, and with such a short timeline, he almost certainly had not been able to escape. He was still blending in somewhere among the hundreds of parents and kids outside. Right away, a full lockdown order was issued. The football game was canceled. Every exit from the parking lot was chained shut, and no vehicle was allowed to start up and leave. Right away, a lockdown order for the parking area was issued. The football game was canceled, and police set up control checkpoints at every exit. Instead of letting the crowd leave freely, officers held the vehicles in place to record identities, take photos, and collect information from each person right there in the parking lot, making sure no potential suspect could use the chaos to escape. But when investigators asked Brian and Amy if they suspected anyone, their answer almost stalled the case from the very beginning. They did not know. There was no one they could immediately think of who had ever threatened Gabbi. After speaking with Gabbi's parents, detectives turned to the group of kids who had been playing with her. These witness statements were extremely important, but also extremely difficult to gather, because the witnesses were young children. They may have seen more than they understood, or remembered a detail without knowing what that detail meant. Investigators asked the girls if they had noticed anything strange that evening. Was anyone standing near them? Was anyone watching the group of kids? Did anyone follow Gabby? Did any adult appear around the restroom area, the baseball field, or the walkway where the girls had been playing? At first, the answer was still no. The girls said they did not remember anything unusual. And that may sound unhelpful, but it actually was not that strange. Kids do not observe the world the way investigators do. They do not walk into a ball field and think, "Tonight, I'm going to memorize the identifying features of every man wearing a jacket within a 20-meter radius." No, they are playing. They are laughing. They are running. They are doing exactly what kids are supposed to do. But for police, every tiny detail at that point could be a piece of the puzzle. So they brought the girls into the gym, where the crowd was being held, and asked them to look around carefully. Not to pressure them, but to see whether any face, body shape, jacket, or standing position might trigger a memory. And at first, the result was still nothing. The girl did not remember much about the man's appearance. No exact height, no facial description, no name, but she remembered one thing. He was wearing a denim jacket. Police continued checking the lead about the man in the denim jacket. Investigators spoke with the ticket booth attendant, the person who had sold tickets for the game that night. And he also remembered a man with a denim jacket, but there was one different detail. According to him, the man was not wearing the jacket. He was holding it or had it draped over his arm. A small detail. But in an investigation, small details are sometimes what pull an entire case out of the dark. The ticket booth attendant also said the man had left a strange impression. He looked unusual, as if he was drunk or somehow out of control. And listen, a strange man at a children's event near the restroom area with a denim jacket is not a complete description. Nobody here is saying, "Great, close the file, we've got Sherlock Holmes." But it was a corroborating witness statement, a second witness account that supported the detail the girl had remembered. And this was when the investigation shifted into a kind of work that is very slow, very tense, and very unlike the movies. A witness canvas. That means gradually interviewing each person who was there, collecting statements, comparing descriptions, checking who stood where, who saw what, who left when, and who was near the restrooms, the baseball field, or the exit. Basically, asking an entire crowd, "Did you see anything tonight?" And hoping that somewhere inside 200 answers that sound like, "I'm not sure," there is one answer clear enough to open a new lead. Very glamorous. Hollywood must be shaking with jealousy. But then the investigation reached a step that any investigator would take in a case involving children. They compared the list of men being held in the gym against the sex offender registry. And the result? No match. Meanwhile, the witness canvass at the school continued. Investigators moved from person to person, taking statements, comparing times, locations, clothing descriptions, and any behavior that seemed out of rhythm with that evening. And then, little by little, one name began to surface: Timothy Madden. Several witnesses told police they had seen Timothy Madden near the women's restroom area during the game. And this was not just, he walked past there. According to them, his behavior seemed strange. Strange enough for people to remember it once police started asking questions. And at a crowded event, how strange do you have to be for people to remember you among hundreds of parents, kids, loudspeakers, cheering, and the very specific chaos of a kid's football game? Timothy was not a complete stranger. He was a local resident. A lot of people knew him. In a small community, that should have helped him look more normal in the eyes of the crowd. But that night, according to multiple statements, Timothy did not blend into the scene the way a normal parent should. Another witness, described as a distant relative of Timothy's. also told police that he seemed unusual throughout the game. That night, Timothy's son was playing under the field lights. That classic small-town Friday Night Lights moment where any dad would usually be yelling himself hoarse from the stands. But Timothy was not. He stood there, dazed, alone, and looking toward a place that made no sense. By that point, it was fully dark. Police could not keep the entire crowd at the school forever. Most people eventually had to be released from the area after providing the necessary information. But Timothy Madden was already on investigators' radar. He had become a clear enough person of interest that police needed to go to his home and speak with him that same night. Before they went, investigators asked the local sheriff what he thought about Timothy. And this is where the small town factor came back and took a very painful bite out of the case. The sheriff said he had basically known Timothy his entire life. And based on his initial impression, Timothy did not seem like the kind of person who could commit a crime like that. Yep, the classic line. He's not that kind of guy. If you watch enough real cases, you know that sentence shows up so often it almost needs its own square on a true crime bingo card. And to be fair, the sheriff was not saying that because he was stupid or careless. He said it because Timothy, on paper, was not the kind of person most people would immediately picture as a murder suspect. Timothy had almost no significant criminal history, aside from a few traffic violations. No record of serious violence. Timothy Madden quickly landed on the list of people investigators needed to pay attention to that night. However, instead of a dramatic confrontation at his front door, the Kentucky State Police handled the process more carefully. They first took his statement as a regular witness. It was not until the formal interview at the police station a few days later that detectives made their key psychological move. They used a deliberate probing question. They asked Timothy whether he had any explanation for witness videos showing him talking to Gabby before she disappeared. Even though that video did not exist, the psychological trap worked. After completely denying it at first, Timothy began stumbling over his words and changing his story. He admitted that he had, in fact, spoken to Gabby that evening and even given her directions near the stadium area. By itself, that did not prove guilt. But in a homicide investigation, when a person of interest goes from, "I don't know anything," to actually, "I did have contact with the victim," investigators are definitely going to sit up a little straighter. According to Timothy, he had stepped outside to smoke. While he was there, a few little girls ran past him. Right after that, Gabby walked by and asked if he had seen her friends, because the kids were playing hide and seek and Gabby needed to find them. Timothy said he gave Gabby directions and then she ran off. And not only that, according to Timothy's own statement, that conversation happened while Gabby was separated from her group, looking for her friends and moving around an area where adults were not always watching directly. In other words, Timothy's statement created its own opportunity window. And I know, that sounds cold. But that is how investigations work. They do not just ask, "What did he say?" They ask, "Where did that statement place him? At what time? With whom? And can anyone confirm it?" Here, the problem was that there was no clear witness outside the stadium who saw the entire interaction the way Timothy described it. And if no one could confirm it, then the story of "I only gave her directions" was no longer a solid explanation. Detectives noticed that the speed at which Timothy changed his story was suspicious. He did not maintain one consistent account. He denied it, then adjusted it, then admitted contact with Gabby. And each change placed him closer to the moment she disappeared. After that, investigators asked another question. If the forensic team found his DNA on Gabby or on evidence connected to her, did he have any explanation for that? In a homicide investigation, especially one with signs that the case involved assault, DNA can become critical forensic evidence. And this question was meant to test whether Timothy would offer a defensive explanation in advance. Timothy calmly answered no. Eventually, investigators asked Timothy to provide a DNA reference sample and turn over the clothes he had worn at the stadium that night. And Timothy agreed. On the surface, that might sound like a point in his favor. Like, if he was guilty, why would he voluntarily hand over his DNA and clothes? But in a real investigation, initial cooperation does not automatically mean innocence. When Timothy handed over the clothing, investigators immediately noticed several significant stains on the items, including his pants, denim jacket, and underwear. The stains looked like biological staining. Stains that would need to be tested to determine whether they were blood or some other biological material. They asked Timothy how he explained them. He said police were crazy. It was not blood. It was just mud. Yep, mud. Police could not arrest him just because they saw stains. They needed laboratory confirmation. They needed to preserve the samples under chain of custody, then send them to the lab for DNA analysis. The case was prioritized, but real life is not like a crime show. There is no screen flashing "match fund" after 12 seconds with a dramatic beep. Specialists still needed several days to process the samples, compare DNA, and test the stains on the clothing. Meanwhile, the medical examiner completed the initial forensic examination. The conclusion determined that Gabby died from manual strangulation. The forensic examination also confirmed that Gabby had been assaulted, and during the forensic examination, the examiner recovered a biological sample believed to belong to the person responsible. That sample was immediately sent to the lab for DNA analysis. Not long after that, police received another investigative lead. Several people reported that a 16-year-old local teenager had been acting pretty strangely. He told some people he had been at the game, but later changed his story and insisted he had never been there at all. And in a homicide investigation, changing your story like that is never treated as, "Oh, he probably just got confused," and then ignored. No, it goes straight onto the list of things that need to be checked. The teenager also said he had seen the group of girls playing hide and seek, the very game that was happening right before Gabby disappeared. Then, investigators discovered that he was Timothy Madden's son. Great, because apparently, this case was not messy enough already. But that still was not the detail that caught police attention the most. Police decided to speak with the teenager, but because he was a minor, they needed a parent or legal guardian present during the interview. And when police wanted to collect a DNA reference sample, his mother refused. After rumors about the Madden family spread across town, something else happened. The family's older son, who was 20 years old, started messaging local officers on social media. And the content was not exactly, "Hello, I'd like to clear up a few misunderstandings." No. He used threatening language and demanded that police leave his family alone. He was quickly arrested for the threat.
The preliminary hearing for Bradley Manning.
2 weeks to the day since his arrest, and today, time appeared to have taken its toll on Bradley Madden and his family.
Mr. Madden made some threats to the Scottsville Police Department's Facebook.
There was only one witness, a detective from Scottsville Police, who said that back on November 21st, the 20-year-old repeatedly sent threatening messages to the department via Facebook.
He was upset about that and was saying that we had the wrong guy and that if his father went to prison, then we would watch our backs for the rest of our life. He also stated that he would be coming for us.
Bradley's father, Timothy, is charged with murdering 7-year-old Gabbi Doolin. The threats came after his arrest. Bradley claims he only meant he would go after the department legally because he feels they made a false arrest.
In the car on the way to Allen County, he even said it was a promise, not a threat. And that, to me, never did act like that he was sorry for anything that he's done.
That is not illegal.
His attorney tried to argue that Bradley was only threatening legal action. The judge, though, decided to send the case to a grand jury.
Certainly imply a threat of violence.
Also coming to his defense today was his grandmother.
He is close to his daddy, and he knows his daddy could never do such a thing. So he's going to naturally defend his daddy.
Time, it appears, has taken its toll not just on Bradley, but on his family as well.
I know he done learn a lesson, and I feel that that's all he needs.
The judge here decided to keep Bradley Madden's bond at $40,000. If and when he does get out of jail, he has been ordered to stay out of Allen County and off of Facebook.
And when police checked his background, they discovered he also had an active warrant in another town, connected to an accusation that he had assaulted a minor girl. So another investigative branch opened up. Police brought him in for questioning. He said he was only angry because his family had been pulled into the case. He denied any connection to Gabbi and stated that he had been at a cousin's house in a nearby town that night. Investigators needed to check that statement as part of alibi verification. But unlike his 16-year-old brother, the older son agreed to provide a DNA reference sample. That sample was also sent to the lab. While the investigative threads surrounding the Madden family grew more and more tangled, Gabbi's funeral was held on November 20th, 2015.
Hold your children tight. That emotional plea from a father who just 24 hours ago was informed that his little girl was murdered. Thousands of people flocked to the small town of Scottsville, Kentucky tonight, shattered by the news that a 7-year-old girl was found dead, murdered, and left in a pond. Balloons were released for 7-year-old Gabriella Doolin, known to everyone as Gabby. She was watching her older brothers play football last night when she disappeared. Hours later, her body was recovered in a nearby pond. And tonight, thousands of candles were lit and an entire town, including people from the surrounding area, gathered to support her family.
We, as a community, Brian, stand with you. This whole town stands with you tonight. We're praying for you. We're crying with you. We're mourning with you. We stand with you. And we're also praying that soon the people, the individual that did this will be brought to justice.
A GoFundMe page was set up today for the family to pay for funeral expenses in a matter of hours. They raised over $12,000. If you would like to help, we've put a link to that page on ours at newschannel5.com.
The community also raised money to help Brian and Amy cover the costs of the funeral and memorial services. While Gabbi's family was preparing to say goodbye, the lab finally completed the DNA analysis. The biological samples recovered during the forensic examination were compared against the DNA from Timothy Madden and his son. The results showed a complete match. The semen sample found on Gabbi belonged to Timothy Madden, and the blood on Timothy's clothing belonged to Gabbi Doolin. That same morning, as the Doolin family and the community were preparing for the final steps before Gabbi's visitation and funeral, police officers immediately surrounded Timothy Madden's home and carried out the arrest warrant. As Timothy was escorted out of the police station for transfer, he repeatedly shouted in front of reporters' cameras that he was completely innocent. With strong DNA evidence, prosecutors formally charged Timothy Madden and announced they would seek the death penalty. Timothy's attorney insisted his client was innocent and argued that the origin of the forensic evidence raised serious questions. Put simply, they were not just challenging the DNA results. They were trying to attack how the evidence appeared and how police interpreted it. The main strategy was to create reasonable doubt. The attorney argued that during the time the crime occurred, Timothy was at the stadium filming the game. That sounds like a pretty convenient alibi, with just one small problem. Timothy himself had told police that he met and spoke with Gabbi around that time. The attorney also emphasized another point. Gabbi was found in a creek, but when Timothy returned to the stadium, his clothes were reportedly still dry. Their point was very clear. If Timothy had really been at the place where Gabbi was found, Why were his clothes not wet?
Late this afternoon, a man charged with murdering a 7-year-old Allen County girl went in front of a judge for the first time. His court appearance comes as we're learning new details about how state police say Timothy Madden killed Gabbi Doolin. First, a warning, parts of this story are disturbing. Sean Moody is live in the newsroom with the details. Sean, what did the judge have to say?
Erica, the judge read off the charges that Timothy Madden faces, and it got pretty emotional. She appeared to hold back tears a couple of times as she described the kidnapping, rape, and murder charges. Timothy Madden's arraignment went on for about 10 minutes. The judge read the charges aloud, appearing to struggle a couple of times to get through it. The Doolin family sat up front watching Madden and the judge. Gabby's mom, Amy, cried quietly. The judge set a bond of $1 million, full cash, and said Madden couldn't have any contact with minors. Madden has said that he is innocent, and his attorney, Travis Locke, said it was important for people not to jump to conclusions in this case.
Every human being that is accused of a criminal offense has the right to due process, no matter how heinous that crime may be.
The case dragged on for years because of legal procedures. It was not until August 2019, nearly 4 years after the crime, that both sides reached a plea agreement to avoid a long trial and protect the victim's family from having to relive the pain. Prosecutors agreed to withdraw the death penalty request, and in return, Timothy Madden had to admit to everything he had done. On October 23, 2019, the court officially handed down the sentence. Timothy Madden received life in prison without the possibility of parole for murder, kidnapping, and sexual assault of a child. Justice was finally served, even though the pain carried by the Doolin family and the small town of Scottsville could never truly fade. Gabbi Doolin's mother spoke about the homicide with heartbreak. He destroyed our family.
Tonight, it is about moving forward, a sense of relief for Gabbi Doolin's family after her killer is sent to prison for the rest of his life.
For 4 years, Gabby's mom, Amy, has lived with the pain of losing her daughter. Today, she was kind enough to talk with News Channel 5's Chris Conti about what justice means now.
It's not a happy time anymore.
The changing of the seasons in Scottsville, Kentucky today served only as a painful place marker for Amy Doolin.
She would be 12 the day after Christmas. She was 7 and now she would be 12 years old, you know. So when I look at it in that perspective, it's been a long time.
Fall had just settled in 4 years ago when Gabbi Doolin disappeared from her brother's football game and never came back.
It wasn't fair to her above all else.
This is the place where Amy Doolin will someday be buried, next to her daughter, Gabriella. She came here yesterday, just hours after her daughter's killer was sentenced to life in prison without parole, and she told Gabby this.
I kind of said to her yesterday, you know, we finally got justice. It's been a long time coming.
4 years, 4 winters, 4 falls without Gabby, one mother's broken heart.
Her personality, I believe, was gonna, it was gonna take her far in life.
So what does justice feel like, knowing that Timothy Madden is away for life for taking this little girl's life?
I want to say, that there was some kind of miraculous change, but no, I mean, in here, the hurt's still there.
If losing Gabby was the hardest day of their lives, yesterday came in a close second as Amy finally got to speak to Timothy Madden face to face.
Because of you, we lost our baby girl. Our boys lost their sister.
And when Timothy Madden turned his attention away, well, Amy doesn't fault Gabby's dad for this.
You can let him listen to what she's got to say. Do you understand me? Do you understand me?
Mr. Doolin, Mr. Doolin.
We couldn't even get enough respect to be heard. So, yeah, he got really angry, but I don't think anybody can blame him for getting upset the way that he did.
Amy knew that addressing her daughter's killer would be difficult, but she had to for herself, for Gabby.
I wanted to be heard, and I wanted him and I wanted his family to know how badly this has ripped us all apart,
But before we end, I want to ask you one question. At crowded community events like schools, ball fields, fairs, or churches, what should we do differently to better protect kids without turning their childhood into a cage of fear? Leave your thoughts below. And if you want me to keep breaking down cases that are not only shocking, but also leave real lessons for families and communities, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. My name is Luca. Thank you for watching Crime Delve. I'll see you in the next true crime documentary. And stay safe. Keep an eye on the little ones around you. And remember that sometimes the most important question is not, where is the stranger?